welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, the ugly and condemnable comment of the British Prime Minister on Nigeria, calling the country fantastically a corrupt one. Transparency International condemned the Prime Minister's comments, accuses UK of providing safe haven for corrupt assets. Katsina and Ogun states hold economic summits, step up efforts towards increase internally generated revenue. And US President Barack Obama to pay historic visit to Hiroshima, the Japanese city hit by a nuclear bomb in 1945.
On business news tonight, Debt Management Office says funds expected for the 2016 budget will be used to finance capital projects.
And on sports news tonight, Serena Williams begins her 2016 clay court campaign at the Italian Open in style with a 6-4, 6-3 victory over Annalena Fritzen.
Tonight we begin with the British Prime Minister making an unguarded statement about Nigeria in his excitement at the country's participation in the upcoming summit. In a video leaked by Reuters news agency, the Prime Minister was seen briefing the Queen of England about the country's expectations at the anti-corruption summit. In his conversation with the Queen, the Prime Minister was heard telling her that leaders of, quote, fantastically corrupt countries like Nigeria and Afghanistan are due to attend. The Queen, who generally steers clear of political issues, did not respond to Cameron's comment, while the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, said, quote, but this particular president is actually not corrupt, end of quote, referring to Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari.
Successful cabinet meeting this morning. We talk about our anti-corruption summit. We've got the Nigerians. We've got some leaders of some fantastically corrupt countries coming to Britain. Nigeria and Afghanistan, possibly the two most corrupt countries.
But this particular president is actually not corrupt. No, he's trying very hard.
They are coming at their own expense.
I mean, yes. It's going to be slightly because it's an anti-corruption summit. Everything has to be open, so there are no sort of closed-door sessions. It's all in front of the press. It could be quite interesting.
Meanwhile, Transparency International has responded to the comment made by the Prime Minister David Cameron regarding Nigeria and Afghanistan in a statement. Well, the Managing Director of Transparency International, Cobus de Schwart, said Nigeria and Afghanistan have no doubt had very high levels of corruption, while the current leaders of those countries have shown commitment to change the situation. He added that the London Anti-Corruption Summit provides an opportunity for all the countries attending the meeting to sign up to a new era. He said, quote, this affects the UK as much as other countries. We should not forget that providing a safe haven for corrupt assets, the UK and its overseas territories and crown dependencies are a big part of the world's corruption problem, end of quote. Very, very strong comments there and words by Transparency International following today's embarrassing comment made by the British Prime Minister. Now, we've had a reaction to all of that in the last couple of minutes. I'm joined by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu. He joins me now. Thank you so much, Mr. Shehu, for joining us on the news at 10. All right, we do apologize. We were seeming to have a few issues there connecting with him, but let me just try and tell you what he told us earlier about his reaction to the comments by the British Prime Minister. And he had said that it's embarrassing to us, to say the least, given the good work that the President is doing. The eyes of the world are on what is happening here. I'll tell you a bit more of what he said, saying that the Prime Minister must be looking at an old snapshot of Nigeria. Things are changing with corruption and everything else, end of quote. We will try our best to bring him back so he can tell you just exactly what the presidency is feeling tonight as we hear those comments coming out from the UK. Now, in the midst of this diplomatic gaffe, the President has arrived in London for the Anti-Corruption Summit, which begins at Lancaster House on Thursday. President Muhammadu Buhari's jet touched down at the Heathrow Airport at 5:10 p.m. and he was received by the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, the National Security Advisor, Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Acting High Commissioner of Nigeria to the United Kingdom. In an interview with State House correspondents on arrival in London, the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, said that he expects a robust debate. And after over 40 heads of state and governments are expected at Thursday's summit, our presidential correspondent Chukwuma Onekusi takes a look at expectations from that summit.
The president will be in London for 3 major events. He is expected to deliver a keynote address at a pre-summit conference of development partners, Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, Transparency International and other civil society groups. The high point of his visit will be the anti-corruption summit holding on Thursday. Over 40 heads of government are to use the summit to galvanize a global response to tackle corruption. One of the questions we took up with the acting High Commissioner of Nigeria to the United Kingdom is what Nigeria stands to benefit from the anti-corruption summit holding here. According to him, the summit holding in the United Kingdom will remove all impediments to the effort of the Nigerian president to get all stolen money here repatriated to the country.
At the end of the conference, there will be a declaration. And the declaration with all stolen wealth, for instance, that are in the UK here, to have them repatriated, it will make the work easier. If there were obstacles before, the intention is to have all these obstacles and bottlenecks removed. So it will be faster to facilitate the repatriation of the assets that are abroad, and even the people behind it, some of them who are already living abroad, they could actually be extradited back to Nigeria to face trial. If you have an issue and you want to raise it, and the members of the international committee, they join you, it is a big plus. It has gone beyond the shores of Nigeria, and many world leaders already know the implication of fighting corruption, and that's why they have convened a summit, which is the highest you can get at any meeting.
The president is also expected to meet with the Archbishop of Canterbury before returning to Nigeria on Friday. Chukwuma Onekusi in London for Channels Television News.
The former Minister of Aviation, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, may be spending more time at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's headquarters in Abuja. The EFCC has secured a remand warrant to keep Mr. Fani-Kayode while investigations continue. It's not clear at the moment why the EFCC is questioning him, but the letter of invitation extended to him last week says he was being invited over allegations of criminal conspiracy, fraud and money laundering involving Joint Trust Dimension Limited, in which he featured prominently. Chief Fani-Kayode submitted himself to the EFCC on Monday after expressing readiness to cooperate with the ongoing investigation. To legal matters now, and counsel to the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, has accused the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of tampering with his assets declaration form, which he submitted in 2003. At the resumption of proceedings at the Code of Conduct Tribunal today, lawyers to the Senate President alleged that the refusal of the EFCC and the CCB to contact him on the said form during the investigation constitutes what they described as illegality. One of the lawyers, Mr. Paul Irokoro, made the allegation during cross-examination of the Chief Prosecution Witness, Mr. Michael Wetkas.
The Senate President and his supporters patiently waiting for the panel of the tribunal to commence his trial on asset declaration. At the resumption of proceedings, the prosecutor, Mr. Rotimi Jacobs, opposed the use of different lawyers for cross-examination of the prosecution witness, but he was overruled by the tribunal chairman, who agreed with the defense that the defendant is allowed to use any counsel of his choice to defend himself. However, he says that the privilege should not be abused by the defendant. With that out of the way, Mr. Paul Irokoro, another senior advocate in the team of the Senate President, continued the cross-examination of the witness. The defense lawyer made the witness to read the asset declaration form of the Senate President before he became governor of Kwara State in 2003. The witness answered in the affirmative that according to the form, the Senate President was worth over 3 billion naira before he was elected. When asked if he knew the federal government put its property up for sale, the witness answered that it was about 2006. And when asked if it corroborated with when the Senate President bought number 15A McDonald Street from the federal government, the witness agreed. When asked why the said property appeared in the asset declaration form of the Senate President for 2003 when the property was bought in 2006, the witness said it is only the Senate President who signed the document that can explain his entry. Mr. Erukoro then put it to the witness that he did not confront the Senate President with the said exhibit during the investigation because the document had been tampered with to nail his client since the property was not up for sale by the government until 2006. The witness maintained that he did not have to interact with the Senate President to believe the entry in the document since it was legally signed before a judge. He also told the tribunal that a separate team which interacted with the Senate President will be in a better position to answer the questions. He said that number 15B MacDonald Street, Ikoyi, Lagos, owned by the Senate President, which he gave evidence about, was not seen anywhere in the asset declaration form of the Senate President from 2003 to 2011. But when his evidence, which he gave earlier, was read to him, indicating that he said the property was bought in the year 2000 in his asset declaration form, the witness agreed. The prosecutor refused to comment on the day's proceedings. But one of the lawyers to the Senate President had this to say.
We are entitled to disagree as lawyers over what the law says. He felt that one lawyer must start the case and end it, and his colleagues cannot take over the examination of a witness midway. The tribunal ruled correctly, in my view, that that's not the law, and that we are quite right for new counsel to take over cross-examination today.
After a 10-day recess ordered on the 27th of April 2016 by the tribunal to allow the Senate President and his team of lawyers study the amended charge that was preferred against him, the tribunal reconvened today and the cross-examination of the chief prosecution witness continued. It did not end today and it has been adjourned to the 11th of May 2016 for continuation. Amaka Okafu, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, again, Minister of State for Petroleum apologizes over persistent fuel scarcity as federal government holds second town hall meeting in Kaduna. That's in a moment. Stay with us.